What's up, everybody? Welcome to my Saturday reality. Carpo from the back room. I would do this video outside in the beautiful yard, but it's raining and cold. So I'm gonna hide here and back in the gloomy closet. This video will be, let's see, I guess what'll be the title. How do you know if you were happy? And this isn't something that just really popped into my head. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time, that I always think about. And it's a philosophy on my daily routine that just passes through my head at least once a day, and that I really haven't talked about. How do you know if you're actually happy? Well, it's actually really easy. You just have to go to the HSI website, and that's the Happiness Standards Institute, and they'll tell you if you're happy or not. I'm totally fucking joking, of course. There is no standard for happiness. We don't know what happiness is. People have tested happiness. People have done all types of surveys on happiness and tried to compare happiness from the poor and the rich. And there's a lot to be said, but there's a lot more that's just not worth saying. That it's pointless to try to identify what makes happiness, or whether a person's going to be happy in a particular environment or climate or area. Happiness is something that's partly genetic, it's partly learned, it's partly environmental. But beyond all the obvious big questions, like is a person happy because they're in pain or because they're rich, I'm talking about, how do we truly know as individuals, regardless of our status, of our income, how do we really know if we're happy compared to other people? Does it really matter? No, of course, that's a comparison. But it does matter in the sense that if we live our lives, let's say, in solitude, and we were never to be really exposed to other people, we wouldn't really know what true happiness was. We might create our own happiness within our paradigm. And I think this is what the brain does, because we naturally seek pleasure, just tied in with the novelties. So with the pleasure-seeking behavior, we try to find things in comfort. And comfort for humans tends to be finding routines that make us comfortable, so we don't have to step too much outside our box. But when we do, those novelties are that much greater, if that makes sense. So we get so stuck in our normal way of thinking, our routine way of thinking in our daily life, that we sometimes don't stop to ask, are we happy? And how do we know if we are? And I would say that I know a lot of people say that they are happy. Like I say, I'm a happy person. And also a lot of people say that they're definitely unhappy. I've heard a lot of people say that they're just not happy people, that they're suicidal, that they don't like life, they don't like each other, they don't like people, whatever it may be. So on both ends of the spectrum, there are extremes. People who are suicidal and people who are so damn bubbly about life that you don't even want to be around them because they can't seem to see anything for what it is. And I'll tell you, I'm a pretty down-to-earth person. As much as I talk about positivity in my videos, I find myself, what's the word I guess I would be, I have my waves, I have my crests and my troughs. And I also do lash out at bullshit. As often as I'll make a video where I'll talk about how, that everybody's just doing their thing and trying to get by, I still go out in the world like other people and honk at the asshole who's not paying attention. I still get frustrated with idiots out there. I get frustrated with people as well who don't do shit for themselves and just expect everything to be handed to them. I get sick and tired of it. And sometimes I feel like I'm almost defending those people when people say things like, well, I don't want to have to pay taxes so I can, pay for these lazy bastards out here who don't want to work for a living. And I'll say, hey, that's a pretty harsh thing to say. A lot of poor people work, okay? Most poor people want to work. But deep down in my heart, of course, I'm thinking, that's true, but a lot of them don't too. And so I can see it depends on which spectrum, where your confirmation bias goes. Whether you're looking at the hardworking people who just can't feed their families, or you're looking at the lazy fuckheads who just suck off of Social Security or food stamps and never lay a finger, or have kids merely to collect more income. And there are people like that. And I bring that up because it's important. Because when we talk about happiness, we can only be individually happy if we're happy as a society. And I think this is a really overlooked aspect, that no matter how much you want to hide within your own little world, you're still influenced by the policies and the behavior of people you work with, people you work for, the governments in the countries that you live in. And so we can ignore things, or we can also pretend that everything's okay, which a lot of people do. These are the kind of people who think that if there's ever a major catastrophe, that they'll just wait it out until the government comes to bail them out. Because the fire department will come eventually. The people who have that mentality, there's no saving people like that. People who think that we have the resources to actually save, after this country after a major disaster, In other words, I'm not a doom and gloomer, but I'm a realist in the sense that, we're in for some deep shit in this world. Our future is not looking bright and beautiful and bubbly. I mean, we've got a lot of hurdles to cross if we ever want to pull our heads out of our asses. I mean, seriously. And so looking around at all the people who are unhappy, that unhappiness rubs off onto everyone else who's trying to be happy. So as much as I try to live my life and work and try to help my family and my friends and try to pay my mortgage, hopefully I'll get a car again one day, all these things that that as a person who's always lived hand to mouth, it's just the way it is. I know that I can be happy even living within that paradigm where I don't have much money, because I know money doesn't bring happiness. And the times when I've had more money, I was less happy and more stressed out trying to even hang on to it. So money doesn't buy happiness. Happiness comes from within. We know this, but it's as much bullshit to say that to people who are suffering in their own way. So I just want to, say that I can relate to people who think that there's a lot of shitheads out there. I understand that. I also can relate to people who are in pain or suffering, because I've had extreme sciatica where I just thought, I just couldn't handle it. I mean, it was the worst experience. Worst pain in my life. I have tooth problems. I've got all kinds of shit that I need to deal with. And this is who we are as humans, is embracing our flaws, admitting our flaws, realizing that we're growing. Through that, we can achieve states of happiness or see these glimpses of being happy, because ultimately happiness is a perspective issue. And so that brings me to the point, as this video is about happiness, that you cannot just be a happy person. You can have happy moments, or you can be a dumb person, or you can be a fake person, but you really can't be a happy person all the time, because happy is a direct contrast to hardship and working and effort. We bust our asses all day, so at the end of the day we can take a moment to breathe and hang out with our families and do what we choose. Watch a movie, read a book. And that's the best we can hope for. To remember that happiness isn't yearning for some state of mind where everything will be fine. It's not yearning for utopia or enlightenment. It's slowly educating ourselves about the world around us so we can be worthwhile to the world around us and discuss things rationally and be informed with information. In other words, information means you are informed. You don't get information by repeating other YouTube videos or reading news articles. You get out there, you get your hands dirty, and you do the best you can. And not try to prove anything to people, but always be trying to prove something to yourself. And realize that the pride may come before the fall, but without pride, nothing is ever accomplished. And mankind generally should just embrace what we are and realize that we're flawed, and see the correlations between all religions, between all cultures, that we can relate to each other, at least on one level. That we're here for a short time, we never quite have it all figured out, and we can't expect to be happy 24 hours a day, because that's just ludicrous. So, with that, we can at least embrace the happiness we do have, right?